Or else we do, he's right, and we do have to fix the sharing part.
Yeah.
Which way do you see it? What do you?
Well, I always feel that there's three sides to every story. So I don't think it's one way or another. And what I would tell you is you better believe that Mark and I play on the conscience of business leaders to say, and unions, you leave this place, or if you don't give a little bit, you're going to hurt the libraries, you're going to hurt the hospitals, you're going to hurt the schools. I mean, I buy the old Michael Novak philosophy, which is free markets are great, but free markets that are not underlaid with a sense of conscience don't work. And I buy that. And I bought it when I was on Wall Street, and I was at times really upset when I saw people because it was all about the money. Life is not that. Free markets and free enterprise are not that. They're about a responsibility and a duty and about your soul, your eternal destiny. And I don't think it's inconsistent. I do not believe it is inconsistent to be profitable and still care. Look at the work that Bill Gates is making. And by the way, I had a wonderful meeting with Bill Gates down in Washington talking about our school reform. Yes, sir?
Does your budget include revenue from oil and gas and
It does it? I guess it does. I don't know. Tim?
It is, the authority to be there will be in the bill. There is not a particular estimate yet at this moment. It will be developed as information becomes available.
You know, and what he's driving at is this whole business of Marcellus and Utica Shale and how Ohio taxpayers get their fair share, and we're working on a mechanism to make sure that as we go forward, and by the way, data continues to show that we may have something in this state which would, you know, change a big chunk of our state. Yes, sir.
So, Governor, since we're into transforming and restructuring government, I've talked with an official at the County Commissioners Association that told me that really we could get along with about a third of the counties that we actually have in Ohio. Do you envision someday we don't need 4,000 townships?
Well, look, I think the first thing we need to do is take a look at the savings. You know, do we need 6 school districts in Hancock County with 6 separate, you know, superintendents and principals and, you know, I think the first thing we're going to do, and I'm going to ask the legislature once we're through this, and I'm taking, I got a number of skyscrapers on my back right now, but I do believe we need to look at it. I mean, I can only take so much on. I think we've taken quite a bit on here today. But yes, I think we need to look at how many school districts do we need, and if we were to have consolidation, what does it save? And can we consolidate communities? You know, that's what I'm talking about everybody pulling together. You know, it's everybody would think a little differently. I mean, that's what you're doing in the media business. You know, you're saying, I got to get out of the box or I'm not going to make it. So, yeah, I think at some point I'm going to ask a Republican and a Democrat to sit down and come up with some sort of analysis of what we would save, and then maybe we do some sort of a base closing commission. We have to do these things. They're dramatic, they're different, they're bold, but they're necessary. Yes, sir. I'm going to go to those that haven't asked yet. Yes.
You mentioned asking employees to pay more for their pensions. Can you explain a little more what you mean by that?
Yeah, right now it's 10-14. We're proposing 12 and 12. And with their state employees, with their pay raise, it'll be, I don't know, 4 or 5%. They'll be a net up. Yes.
You talked about the safety net, preserving the safety net. Are there cuts to anything in the safety net in this budget, for example, food banks and these sorts of entities?
Well, I'd have to call my folks up to say what we've done there. Michael, you want to talk about this at all?
Thank you, Governor. We've maintained our service levels for cash assistance, for child care. Matter of fact, in this budget, no child who is currently on subsidized child care will lose that benefit. We've also maintained a level for food banks and for the benefit bank.
People are protected, and I can have Tracy Plough stand up and say that mentally ill are protected, and when I can have Bonnie Cantor stand up and say the seniors are going to get a good deal, and when I look at Orman Hall and he says we're going to direct more treatment to people who are addicted, but you know, there's a lot of stuff. I'm going to give you one observation. So much of this government has been mishandled and terribly operated that when we have come in here, we've been able to find things that we could do that better to come in when times are bad than to come in when times are good. There was so much not done, so much politics that dominated the landscape that we had the advantage of being able to come in and be innovative and not letting all this politics get in our way. So a big chunk of what we've been able to do, and hey, you've been watching this for years. You've been watching us pass one silly thing after another here to avoid politics. We rejected that. We rejected it and said we can do this thing better. So, look, people are going to. There are going to be people who are going to be affected. They're going to be affected negatively, but only for a while until we get the jobs going. Then their kids don't have to leave Ohio. Laura?
I have two different questions. So, on the
I'll take one.
maybe one of you guys can take the other. The prison sentencing reform, is it the stuff that you're drafting into the budget bill? Does it mirror Bill Sykes' bill in Senate Bill 10, or
Yes.
is it different?
Gary, come on.
Yes, it does. Fundamentally, we believe in that. That's our platform. The Senate Bill 10 and the county, or the state and county government recommendations that come forward.
Since that was a quick one, can I get another one?
Yes, of course you can, Laura. You're always one of my favorites. You know that.
College professors teach at least one extra class
every other year.
Every other year. Are you going to give some sort of exemption for hotshot medical researchers who typically don't teach any classes?
Well, it's a good suggestion. We probably would take that under advisement.
Is it in the bill?
It's probably not in the bill, but that's a tweak that we would add right now. Let's call it the Bischoff Amendment. Hey, you know what, Laura, seriously, you know, it'll be interesting to see whether there's any reaction to this, you know? I mean, we do need to have those professors in the classroom. Suttis doesn't sit in his office. He loves to get it. He does he? Yeah. Okay, Mark. Anyway, yes, way in the back.
Governor, you said there's going to be more...
New York, we'll take one from New York.
You said there's going to be more privatization outside of this budget. What are you thinking of besides the turnpike?
Well, look, I mean, we think about the turnpike. We have this incredible asset in Ohio called Ornet. There may be a way to sublease that. This is an incredible fiber network. We're already being hammered by businesses that say, that's not fair, but we think we can figure out a way for them to be fair. We think about that. I think that's so. We think about what we want to do with a lottery. Can we make that lottery operate much more effectively and more efficiently? Is there a way to maybe not privatize it, but bring in, you know, innovative operators? We don't want to leave any money on the table. And, you know, so we think about that as well. But there may be other things. I mean, look, how much land does the state have? What can we do with our parks? You know, is there a way that we can do some things there, you know?
Governor?
Yes.
Hey, just so I understand, Jobs Ohio is going to lease liquor profits.
Correct. The liquor operation.
Where's Jobs Ohio get the money to do that?
Well, they're going to float bonds. Mark, you want to come and talk about it?
Yeah, so if we were to sell the liquor profits, it is estimated we get approximately $2 billion for the sale of those liquor profits. What we said is it's too important an asset for the long term here in Ohio. We need to use that for job creation. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the right to lease those liquor profits for 20 to 25 years. And we'll probably be in it paying the state, it'll be more than $1.2 billion, but it will be between 1.2 and 1.5 billion to go do that. So we will then issue bonds to do that. We have to issue the bonds not only to pay the state the one-time fee, but also to defease the existing bonds that are used by the Department of Development for the low-interest loans.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any assumption on the elimination of the estate tax? Or is that
Not in this bill. Not in this bill. I mean, it's obviously a goal that we have. I want to also tell you that I anticipate we will do a budget every year. We are not going to pass a 2-year budget and then get back to this in the 3rd year. We will do a budget next year. I mean, we've got much more reform to do, but it has to be well thought out. You just don't unleash it. But I would expect, I told Chairman Amstutz at least, and Widener was in the room, I said, you know, we do a budget next year, because there's going to be an opportunity to do a lot more things, including, I think there's a possibility that we would have the possibility of additional tax cuts come next year. Joe? No, not you, Gordon. You go with the senior states.
You mentioned potential for VLT revenues. Is it your intention to go forward with that?
Joe, you know, as you know, we have put out an RFP to bring in a gaming expert. I think it's pretty clear to all of us in this room. There were things that were, you know, that were put on the ballot and passed in early voting, defeated in election day, and we take a look at it. You know, the state gets no revenue other than the casino fees. Now, local governments get revenues, but we get nothing. And I don't want to get us in a position where we don't control our own destiny and we don't have the expertise that's required of us. So that gaming expert will also be there to advise me on, you know, whether it's Indian casinos, whether it's VLTs. I don't even know all these things, so we can make a good decision, make sure the taxpayer gets their fair share.
Governor,